Hello my friends and welcome. Today we're going to talk about anxiety patterns, the way that different thoughts and emotions come together to often cause overwhelming anxiety or depression. We're also going to look at specific anxiety patterns so that you can see if you recognize any of them from your own experience. Okay, before we get started, I want to briefly mention my free workshop where I share a powerful tool for reducing your anxiety quickly. This is not a breathing exercise, it's not CBT, it's probably not anything you've tried before. It works on a completely different level, so make sure you give it a try. In fact, one of the reasons why it works so well is because it powerfully interrupts anxiety patterns, and when you interrupt the patterns, it's possible for anxiety to reduce very quickly, for it to kind of collapse. So make sure to click the link in the description below and get access to that workshop for free today. It's my Map and Key to Anxiety-Free workshop. All right, let's dive in and look at anxiety through the lens of anxiety patterns. The reason why this topic is important is because when we experience anxiety, it's usually not one thought or emotion. It's usually many thoughts and emotions coming together, forming patterns. Okay, patterns of thoughts and emotions. And as we saw in another video, which I'll link to this one, anxiety is thoughts and emotions. Okay, so our experience of anxiety, the way we experience anxiety is we experience feelings and thoughts. Racing thoughts, whatever the thoughts are, whatever the feelings are, sadness, fear, this is our experience, and it's usually not just one but many together. And this is why it's interesting to look at these patterns of thoughts and emotions and how the thoughts and emotions are coming together. And this is really important because when we're able to break these patterns, that is when we're able to reduce anxiety quickly. Okay, if we can stop these thoughts and emotions from connecting together, this is one of the ways that we can powerfully reduce anxiety quickly. And the reason why this is causing overwhelming anxiety and depression is because we're experiencing everything at once. We have many thoughts and emotions firing off in quick succession and overwhelming the system. If it was just one of these thoughts and emotions at a time, we could probably handle it, okay? If you just had one of the thoughts going on in your mind, if you just had one of the emotions, if you just felt some fear about that one thing or some sadness about that one thing, then you could probably handle it, right? But it's when you have so many things going off all at once that it gets overwhelming, okay? And this is when we have panic attacks, overwhelming anxiety, and eventually depression. It's because everything is happening at once. And now I want to look at some common anxiety patterns. There are infinite ways that thoughts and emotions connect together, okay? So I'm going to talk about 4 different ways, and I'm not saying that those are all the ways, but these are common patterns that often happen. Some of them are loops that you get into and downward spirals, so things that connect together and make each other worse. And we're going to look at some of the common patterns, and I want you to see if you recognize any of them from your own experience, because if you do, then you know that this is something that we can do something about. The first one I'm going to talk about is the cloud. This is when everything comes over us at once. Okay, so these are seemingly unrelated thoughts and emotions that are connecting together and just coming over us like a cloud. It's literally like we just feel like we're stuck in something. We can't get out of it. It feels heavy. We feel stuck. It feels like it's kind of all-consuming and we don't know how to get out. Okay, this just comes over us like a cloud. This usually takes time to pass, and it can be connected with depression. This can happen over a very short amount of time, or it can happen over a very long amount of time. But this is, just kind of many different things that seem to be unrelated, or at least we can't see why they're related, just coming all at once and kind of taking over the system. That's the cloud. The next one is self-judgment, and this is when we do something or don't do something, we think or feel something, and then we judge that thing. So something we do, don't do, feel or think, and then we judge that about ourselves, and that makes us feel bad. Okay, it doesn't feel good to be judged. No one likes to be judged. So when we judge ourselves, we make ourselves feel bad, which affects our thoughts, feelings, and actions. So when that happens and we affect our thoughts, feelings, and actions, we will then judge that again because our thoughts and actions are affected by the emotions. So this is creating a cycle where we are doing something, judging it, feeling bad. That feeling is affecting the actions, and then we judge that again, and this can really get out of control. This is a loop, a cycle, or also a downward spiral. The next one is fear of fear. This is where the feeling of fear itself scares us. Okay, so if you start to feel some anxiety and you remember from before that, oh, I'm starting to feel this feeling that I don't like, this is scary, because that brings up more fear because you don't want to feel that feeling, so that you're now adding more fear onto the fear that you were already feeling. So this also becomes a horrible cycle to be in because the fear itself is generating more fear, and this is how people get into panic attack or overwhelming anxiety, okay, very quickly. And again, all of these patterns are happening in the subconscious, so it's not something that we can see. This can happen very quickly. It can happen, I don't know, maybe faster than light, that these things can take off. So we won't necessarily notice that this is what's happening, but these feedback loops and downward spirals are happening all the time, and this is how anxiety gets out of control very quickly. And the last one I'll talk about is obsessive thinking. This is when you have the same thought going over and over again in your mind, and it's generated because there is an emotion behind it. Okay, so anytime you have one thought or the same kind of thought going over and over again in your mind, there's always an emotion behind it, some fear, anger, sadness, frustration, and there's also always an emotional need behind it. And this is where things get interesting, and emotional needs is one of the most important topics for understanding and getting free from anxiety. There's whatever obsessive thought you have, there's always an emotional need behind it. So it can be an interesting self-inquiry for you whenever you have an obsessive thought, to ask yourself, what is the emotional need that this thought is trying to meet? Okay, that's just a nice thing you can do for yourself. And I hope you'll give that a try, because these thoughts and emotions generally won't stop until the underlying emotional need is met, or at least the best way to get them to stop quickly is to meet the underlying emotional need. And just to dive a little bit deeper into the connection between anxiety patterns and emotional needs, each individual thought and emotion has a need behind it. And specific needs are created when patterns overwhelm the system. Okay, so when you have anxiety, when these thoughts and emotions are coming together, they create a different scenario in your body, which creates different needs. So you have specific needs that are generated when you have anxiety. Okay, so these are needs that you don't necessarily have at other times. So these are specifically the needs that we want to look at when we have strong or overwhelming anxiety. And this is a very interesting topic. I go deeper into it in my free workshop, Map and Key to Anxiety Free. So make sure you go into the link in the description below and get access to that right now. Also, the tool, the free tool that I give in that workshop, that's not a breathing exercise and it's not CBT, is, I believe, the most powerful way to interrupt anxiety patterns and reduce anxiety quickly. So there are 3 steps in the anxiety relief protocol, and I give the most powerful one in my workshop that I'm giving away for free if you click the link below. And I just want to say, like, I don't give this away here because I want you to go in, I want you to join the community, and I want you to get this information in a way that you're actually going to implement it. So during the workshop at the end, we do an exercise where you will implement the tool and you'll already start to feel it. Plus, I'm going to send you a free meditation to your email that you can then use in your own time when you have anxiety to reduce your anxiety, and you can really see that this is powerful and will work for you. So make sure to sign up to the free workshop. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got value out of it. Make sure to give it a like. And if you are serious about getting free from anxiety, if you want to get free from this horrible feeling, if you want to take your life back, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notifications bell, because I'm going to be creating a lot more content that's going to be relevant to you. So you're going to want to make sure that we stay connected. All right, again, thank you so much for joining, and let's get free together.